Inspiration Nation, hello. Lee Kemp here for another week on the podcast with both Jose and Ryan. Jose is the man with a topic today. So, Joe, what are we talking about?
We are talking about regret 3 from the book 5 Regrets of Dying. And this one, I'm going to just show you the book. So that's there, and TikTok as well. And this regret is, I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings.
Dun, dun, dun.
So I know you guys love talking about your feelings, right?
You saw me wince in the chair when you said it.
Actually, just set TikTok up. I said, these guys are going to hate this one this week.
Look at this. Ryan joins for the first time in 6 months to do a podcast, and it's about feelings.
Yeah.
What a way to remind me to not come back.
Oh, Ryan! Oh, come on. Right, so for initial thoughts. So talk to me about that. So is this a regret you're thinking about? You might have.
So what's the whole title of it again? Because the word feeling struck with me, and I just forgot every other word you said.
Listening skills, Lee. Listening skills. Here we go. I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. I suppose it's in places where, you feel a little bit upset, or you're angry with someone. You're not letting them know the true how things have affected you, or whatever. I expect it's on that. And living your true, authentic life, right, and expressing the feelings and how you should be living and how you should be walking through your life, or accelerating through your life, really. So that's what I'd say it would be about. It's about when you're in a conversation. Can you let people know about where you are right now? And if something's upset you, would you tell them, I suppose, in a conversation? No matter who they are, would you do that? I suppose it depends on the situation, right? But talk to me about that. Any thoughts that have come up for either of you on this?
Nothing major for me, because I don't really like talking about my feelings.
Ryan's like, I'll just sit on mute for this one.
When I asked Ryan's been away for the podcast for a little while, and I was asking him, how's it going? He goes, it's going all right. How's life? Yeah, it's all right. And he goes, he goes, how are you doing, Joe? I'm doing all right. Bless him. Yeah.
Things are going all right, though. That's the point, though, isn't it?
It is the point. Yeah. Are you being honest about how you're feeling about that?
Yeah. Goodness me, here we go. Yes.
Do you want me to save you, Ryan? Do you want me to jump in and save you?
Am I being? Yeah, I think I am being honest about it. I think I'm okay. Life's good, positive at the minute. Got things to work towards, things I'm grateful for, things I'm happy with, things that I'd like to change. But it doesn't mean that I'm not happy about them because I want to change them. It means I've got things to work towards.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
I've got
you got anything?
Yeah, I've got a hodgepodge of thoughts for you on this.
Hodgepodge. That's a new word. It's that word of the week. Hodgepodge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you like it? So at the moment, my current TV watching. Do you want to take a guess as to what my Netflix show is I'm watching? I'll give you one guess and then we'll move on because it's boring for everyone to hear that.
Oh, I don't know. Simpsons.
Not on Netflix, but good effort. No idea.
Bridgerton.
I would never have got that.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to get it out there.
You could have given me 50 guesses. I wouldn't have got it.
Have you been influenced by any chance, or is that something you actually really wanted to watch?
Well, no, it came from, because we both do it. We're like, oh, I think you'll like this, and I think you'll like this. So Shard watched it and said, oh, it's really good. You should watch it. And actually, really like it.
You've been influenced. It's great.
Well, yeah. It's by the same production company that make my absolute favourite show ever, which is Grey's Anatomy. So I was through an open door anyway. But
my
it's really
beloved
good.
Loves Grey's Anatomy.
It's my favourite.
Really,
my favourite show, number one on my list. Absolutely.
You're the first man that's openly said they like Grey's Anatomy.
See,
I want you to know that.
I'm comfortable with. No, my cousin, Jose, AJ's Baked, great bakery in Hailsham. You go and visit it if you are in the East Sussex area. He is like Grey's Anatomy as well, one of his top shows too. So I realise he's never said this to you, Grifster, but that's the second one for you to hear about.
Fair enough.
But
also does great coffee in there, by the way.
He does do great. Do you know what he said? He will say that he's got the best coffee machine in Hailsham. Have you been in there then? Have we talked about it?
Yeah, I've had a couple from there.
Yeah?
I've gone in there.
Have you said to him, are you like, I know, Lee Kemp?
I haven't yet. I didn't. I haven't yet. I'm just waiting for the right moment.
Just say, are you AJ? He listens. He knows you. I saw him last week. He might hear this, and he was talking about the podcast with me.
Really?
and
Oh,
podcasts
okay.
and listen to other podcasts. If you say you're Joe from Inspiration Nation, he'll be all over that.
Really? All right.
100%.
All right. Well, I'll get a coffee from the next time. If I see if I AJ, I'll do that. But go on,
Anyway,
you're going to
I've
say
gone
sorry.
off a complete
I've been
tangent there. So oh, I'm echoing really bad for you, Joe. Watch your speakers.
Oh, really?
I could hear myself. Right, so in Bridgerton, it's drama, romantical drama, I would say, if that's a category. And there's a lot of conflict that goes on, and a lot of it is drawn. I'm sitting there watching it. I'm like, if they just talk to each other, they wouldn't have this problem. And then eventually they do talk about what they're feeling, and everything kind of resolves itself, and it goes on. And I say that, I'm like, that's why they just need to talk to each other. And I think that's something I try and do, but personal life and then work as well. I think one of the things actually I work on there is I am an emotive person in that way. So if someone's annoyed me or I'm pleased with something, I'm equally keen to talk about that and share those feelings. And sometimes I want to take a step back because you've got to be a bit more, sometimes being really reactive like that isn't great. And we've talked about it in different ways in podcasts and stuff. But then as we joked at the start, if it comes to that in the moment stuff, I'm doing my lead jump around thing, I think I'm very good at reacting with my emotion and sharing what that is. But in terms of the whole I love you type of thing with family and stuff like that, and that's not there. And as a whole, we don't do that. We've talked about that before on here as well. So I feel like I'm a living contradiction, that in some environments and some ways I'm like heart on my sleeve, and then there's other areas and other times where I don't share those feelings, and I dare say that later in life that'll probably be a regret for me.
Well, I was going to ask you the question. That is exactly what I was going to ask you. So if we fast forward to the end of your life, right? So you're on your deathbed, and you say in your family, you said you don't say to each other you love each other. Like you got your mum, your dad, all your relatives. What comes up for you?
I don't, and I'm saying that question, instinctively I'd say, well, of course, but actually I don't think so. This is unique and personal to my situation, but I think we all know how we feel. We just express it in non-verbal, non-tactile, sometimes non-nice ways. Sarcasm is our love language, I think I would say.
I'd never have guessed, because I get a lot of that. So I know it's a loving affection. That's good. I love it. Yeah. I love that.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
Sarcasm is my love language. If that is a chapter in the book, we'll ask Mark Drager about it. He's all over love languages, isn't he?
Yeah, he is absolutely. And I was going to just say, from my perspective, I've made a really big effort on this because my dad, is one of my passed away, doesn't like talking about feelings really at all. So, but I always say to him in my text, "Love you, kisses," all that stuff. Because I'm a bit like you. I do wear my. I've got to be careful as well, Lee. Depending on the situation, I have to be careful because I am quite emotive. I can be. Usually, if someone says something to me, I really find it difficult to hide it on my face. I don't know anything else, but it literally just comes out, and I try and hide it. But it's like people know, and it's something I'm trying to work on because in some situations it's just not helpful, as we talked about before in the podcast. So for me, I'm really making an effort, especially with close. Well, I am very comfortable actually. If I asked myself the same question about if I went to the end of my life and would I regret not sharing my feedback that I love you things? I wouldn't. I have said it, and I've said it multiple times, and it's one I don't know what triggered it because I said it to my mum as well. So I don't regret anything about thinking mum's gone now. I did tell her lots of times that I did love her. So I am very much on that train about trying to tell people I love them. Now I don't get this perfectly because like everything. Maybe in work situations, I try and be as honest as I can, but we do have to weigh up where we are and what the situation is.
And I think that's the other side of the coin on this, Joe.
Go on.
Which is, like you said, there's the instinct is we'll say it more, but I do. If something's gone really good, or I realise it has, there's that instinct to be like yes, but then maybe you get a bit more data and you realise it's not quite as good as you initially put out there. So there's that time play, and it's the other way around. Sometimes you can react negatively, and sometimes it might be completely genuine or not genuine. Correct, you might have the right point, but blowing up about it isn't the right way to deal with it. Or actually, you might have reacted in the moment, then you calm down and realise you completely overreacted, but the ship sailed. So I guess there's the regret of being too open with your feelings potentially, or not channeling it the right way, or not taking a step back and realise maybe I better just calm down here. I'm being a bit OTT.
In fact, that's one of the things that I'm really trying to work on. It's like actually one of the things that I put. I'm doing a review at the moment because we, in our corporate roles, we have reviews, right? So one of my things is to step away from the computer. Step away from the machine. I think you said this, Lee, actually. I think I picked it up from you. It's like, because I think there was something you talked in the podcast. You talked about there was something that triggered you a bit, and what you did is you stepped away and you did something else, and then you came back. And you said you're glad you did. In fact, my sister's done exactly the same thing. They've written an email.
Oh yes, I remember.
And come back and go, oh, I'm glad I didn't send that. I'm just, and I suppose we've gone a bit off track about, I suppose it is the same thing. I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. So
it's the yin to the yang on the conversation, Joe.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think, so there must be, I suppose the thing is, for me, I'm just trying to think, I'm going to try and look at through things. If I accelerate to the end of my life, because this is really a significant thing, we are going to all die at some point. And the Stoics talk about, and I think I mentioned references before in this, but the Stoics talk about that they meditate on death as part of every day. At the end of the day, they meditate on death and say, well, look, so encourage them to live their best life the next day. So maybe this is a bit of a practice for me to acknowledge the day and think, okay, have I really been I suppose for me it's like really been my true self, which I really do think I have been, much more since doing the podcast and expressing it much better than I used to. Where I'm upset with something, I'll try and do it much more constructively. But like yourself, Lee, when something's like, if I'm in a session and things are going well, I will express, oh, that's really good. I love that. But like you say, when data comes out later, is that always the right way to do it? I really like that as well. So I'm very, like I say, I can be quite reactive. But I am always going to be very truthful where I am in the moment. So if someone asks me how you're feeling, I will actually tell them now. Not when I was younger, I never used to tell them. We talked about that last week about the confidence thing. We talked about that.
Yes.
Back in when I was younger, I wouldn't have said that. But now I would definitely say, if you said to me, now, if we were in a meeting in work or anywhere in life, you said, well, how are you feeling? Like even now in the podcast, if you said, I'd say, well, actually, I'm having a really terrible day. I would be honest with you. I'm not, if you ask, I am going to tell you. And I think that's where I've got better at it. I think for me, the work is, probably more of a, corporate work situation, trying to be less emotive and actually stepping away from machines and not having the initial judgment to react to something. I'm very much better at it, but I think it still needs that work. But I would say, if I answer this question, I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. I definitely think I'm expressing my feelings more than I ever have. But in a way, in my life right now, I feel I wouldn't regret that. Like that, I really do feel that right now. But yeah, anyway, any thoughts from you guys on any of that?
I've just been trying to cower away.
There we go. I was waiting for that silence to see if you stepped in. Silence, of course, is good for a audio podcast.
Yeah, apologies. I think we can all be better with like talking about emotions and stuff, feelings, and I'm in a relatively new relationship, and that's been a test because you have to talk about, and you guys are the phrase seasoned pros in relationships probably is a bit harsh, but you know what I mean.
That would be a complete overstatement as well, I feel.
Yeah, I really think it's always a steep learning curve, Ryan, I'm telling you right now.
It's not just about explaining your emotions. It's about explaining your emotions in a way that doesn't upset the emotions of the other person. That's the bit I think I struggle with. Because, sometimes something will be wrong. It might be work, or it might be something completely trivial that's got nothing to do with the other person. But obviously it makes you annoyed, or it makes you frustrated, or it makes you aggy, or whatever phrase you want to use. And sometimes it's hard to explain those emotions without offending the other person at the same time. So that's one of the biggest balances I found, because it's not just talking about my feelings; it's talking about how my feelings affect, or how our feelings affect the people closest around us as well. Right? It's all well and good speaking out, but we have to do it in a way that's constructive to the relationships of the people with us.
That's it. It's expressing stuff in the right way, which is, as Joe said, it's always a learning curve. I think you're always, but as long as you're conscious of it and you're always trying to take lessons from things, then that is the right track. But it is that balance. And like you said, Joe, you started this by saying we'll hate this because we don't express it. But I think it's situational. There's ways you do and ways you don't. And I guess feelings I'm great with. Affection might be the thing that's more of a a challenge, shall we say, than feelings. But again, that, you know, it comes out in different ways, doesn't it? We did our personality and love language test many times ago in the archive, inspirationnation.org.uk.
We should do something like that again, just for our own development.
Oh yeah, see how we've changed and stuff and everything.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
Well,
except for Joe. Joe's so old and stuck in his ways; it'll be exactly the same.
sure.
Yeah, never changing. I've got that Ray Dalio one that I said you could do because I've done that one. Oh, you done it, Lee, haven't you? I think. But yeah, it's that one. But which was the one we did? Was it 16 personalities, wasn't it?
We did 16 personalities, and we did another one as well, but I can't remember what that one was now.
Can we do one where we spent 25 episodes talking about the results?
That might have been 16 personalities. Yeah, hold on.
I might have been.
Fill in some time. I'm going to trawl through the archive because we need to know this now.
So I just wanted to give that shout out on TikToks. Right, so I've got. Okay, how are you feeling from Andrew Medica? So we've done that. Brilliant. Okay. Apparently, you need to wish Alex happy birthday. There you go.
Happy birthday, Alex.
Happy birthday, Alex. There you go. All done just for you. Thank you so much for the loves and the likes on the TikTok. 202, look at that. And rising. Thank you so much. There you go. You got the shout out. Really appreciate it. Thank you for that. Yeah.
It's always really good when we get to acknowledge a birthday 5 days ago on the show.
Sorry, did we not both text you?
Oh yeah, you did, didn't you? But you've not said it on the show. I know that's offline.
Oh, happy
no
birthday,
one sees
Lee.
that.
Happy birthday.
Can't just flash a screenshot of your text up. Only Joshing. Right, let me see where we definitely did a whole run on 16 personalities, but I can't.
Yeah, I think you're right actually, because we talked about, didn't we individually talked about each of them in a separate episode? I think.
Yeah.
We dive quite deep.
The endurance, which there we go. How many have we got? 25 rules to live by. Episode 87 is part 7 of that endurance run. So some of those got a listen the other day, by the way. So people are enjoying them. Thank you to those out there in the nation that are listening to this. Right, Jose. Anyway, what in the book does it? How close to what the book talks about are we on subject with regrets of expressing your feelings?
Pretty close. I mean, the thing is, it talks about you know, it really talks about family. It's more about close members rather than work or anything like that, and just you know, just expressing how they feel, and I suppose being authentic is what it comes under, I think.
Yeah.
But you know, no guilt, gifts in disguise. It talks about. I mean, I'm just reading sort of underneath, but I mean that whole thing of, you know, expressing yourself is so important because one, it highlights what you need to work on. What we've highlighted it. Once we do examine it and look at it closely, it highlights what you need to work on. And also, I told you about, didn't I, about when I was playing football, I'd hide some of my gifts. I wouldn't want to express the gifts because of what people might think. And I suppose that is a thing about expressing feelings. And now more than ever, I'm not shy anymore. I'm just saying, look, this is what I think I'm built.
Suppressed footballer, champion tennis player. You're like the super athlete of the group, aren't you?
No super athletes here. I had to add. But that's the thing, you know. I think people do have gifts, and I think some people can cover them up, and they shouldn't. Absolutely not. And of course, as I said last week, there's a difference between arrogance and confidence and arrogance. We still have to be careful 100%. On that line. But you do need confidence and things like that to excel. There's no doubt about it. Without the confidence, you won't fulfil the gifts that you have. And
no.
You do need that. And you look at great people, and they do express themselves, express their things. In fact, oh my God, Novak Djokovic. He won the French Open. Thank you. I just might come to me in time. Thank you so much, Ryan. And he was talking about, and he was expressing his feelings, you know, to the crowd after he won his 23rd Grand Slam, which is an absolute record. And he was talking about, you know, it was really inspiring, actually. I wish I'd recorded it and made a video of it because it is really cool. I expect someone had done that already. But that is the pinnacle of anything of expressing feelings. But also, just to give a tip of the hat to you, Lee, he was talking about the present moment and being in the moment and just enjoying.
I really thought you were going to say he shouted out Lee in his winning.
Yeah, and do you know what? He shouted out Lee.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But it was really interesting because he's absolutely super determined. The mindset's incredible. And he's going back to like his feelings and being in the present moment. You know, the thing you talked about the pen last week and being in the moment, and talking about visualization and talking about visualizing, because when he was a child watching tennis at 7, he wanted to be the world champion, and it's come to life. He's made it happen, and he's now 36 years old, winning his 23rd Grand Slam. That's unbelievable, and beating so many younger players. So yeah, just thought I'd say this stuff is not woo woo. This stuff is real.
And he
this
did
is
it
real
because
stuff.
of me. That's my takeaway from this week. Is he did it because of me.
He could
It's
do
for
with
you,
a
'cause
he could do with a couple more, because Rafa's given it one more year next year. And
is he?
Yeah, Rafa said that he's taking the rest of the year off and giving it one more year next year.
Is he what, going for the whole tour? Or is he going on just the French, or is he going for the whole slams? I suppose.
No, I don't follow tennis that closely, but I'm sure I saw that Nadal's taken the rest of this year off because his knee or his hip was playing up again. He said next year's going to be his last year, and he's going to give it a good go. So if Djokovic, because isn't he on 22? Isn't Nadal on 22? Slams,
yeah. So that's why Djokovic just look. But I don't see Djokovic. I think he's going to go further. I think he's going to get.
Well, he tends to be his best at Wimbledon, doesn't he? So
yeah.
Thank you,
would
everyone, for
think.
joining us for Tennis Talk, the podcast about tennis.
Do you know what? Do you know what? Can I just say? Right,
Did I
I'm so
get the right
impressed
sport
with
there, by the way?
Your knowledge. I am so impressed with your knowledge. There's a lot more
I'm a
than mine.
sports guy.
Look at that, sports guy. There's a talent right there, the sports guy. Ryan is a sports guy, I love it.
For curiosity purposes, episode 64 and 65, all the way back from June in 2020, are 16 Personalities episode 1 and 16 Personalities episode 2.
What was the month?
It was June.
So we're 3 years later to the month.
We are, in fact, yeah, because it
Wow.
was June. I've got my wonky eyesight. There we go. June the 3rd and June the 8th, 2020. So you're quite right. 3 years down the line from them.
Should we redo them? Do you think we should redo them?
Yeah, there's a bit I agreed with redoing them, but I'm thinking, has it been long enough? It's been 3 years. That's incredible, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we should redo them. Just see if we come up with the same result. See. It could be quite an interesting experiment, couldn't it? To see if we do change, or whether we, even though we ask the questions, does it come out again? If we're talking about feelings, because actually it's run off the back of that. It's run off the INFJ stuff. Myers-Briggs, right? It comes off the back of that. So yeah, it'd be really interesting, because obviously depending on where we sit, we might come out slightly differently. I know I was a protagonist, if I remember. I was a protagonist, I think, in that. Can you remember?
I can't, but we will look them up and we'll do a show on that, Joe. That sounds like a plan. Right,
Yeah.
I'm going to do some shilling now, just quickly, for everyone who's with us, because if you're listening now, you must like what we're doing. We massively appreciate you. That's what keeps us going. Check out inspirationnation.org.uk, merchandise store. Sign up for Jose's newsletter, the most important thing there, and full archive of everything we've done. Check us out social media at ListenToin, listen TOIN, and just hunt out Jose as well, doing his own things on social media. Just put Jose Noya Inspiration Nation into your Google machine, and you will find him on every platform that has ever existed. TikTok and YouTube. If you find Jose there, hit subscribe or follow or whatever the button is on there, and it will tell you each and every week when we go live on both TikTok and YouTube with the podcast recordings, and you can join the people who are joining us now, much like Alex with his birthday.
Brilliant. Love that. Yeah. So anything more from you about feelings? Is there anything else that comes to mind in
I
terms
think,
of anything?
if I'm honest, Joe, this is about as much excruciating pain as I can deal with talking about feelings.
Do you know what I'm really impressed with? I know I knew you'd hate it, but actually, you're definitely a lot better, both of you.
I did really. I found that was all right, actually. I'm just leaning into my stereotype.
Yeah, I absolutely. Because when I can't remember what the episode it was that we talked about. I can't remember what it was. It was about feelings, wasn't it? Oh no, we're talking about it again. But clearly, so much more comfortable now. The shows we're in the gym doing the reps, or you guys doing the reps, and so you're much more comfortable with it now.
This each week is my growth plan, and it's working well.
Yeah, and that's what it's about, right? This is what it's about. So, always encourage. I mean, this is what I'd always encourage: is if you are struggling with your feelings, we need to be honest with them, and I'd always ask the question. This is why I love talking about this book, because if we are thinking to make a decision, always just think about, I'm at the end of my life. Would I regret it? Would I wish I'd done it? I think it's a really good lens to look at things through. Life goes by so quickly that we have to grab every opportunity, and this is what I would love for anybody to get out of this episode, and all the episodes, to be fair. We're just encouraging you to reach out and live your best lives and be the best version of yourself. And this is what this all stuff is all about. And this is why we do it. We do this off our own back. You know, we come here, have a discussion, and we want you to take value away from this. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask you two a couple of questions, if that's okay.
Go for it. You've got like 3 minutes to get them in, so go for it.
Right, lovely. Okay, so I'm going to go to Ryan first. And you know what it is, and Lee, actually. We'll also question both of you, so you can know those. So what's been your biggest takeaway from this conversation?
I'll go with that I'm an inspiration to top-level athletes.
And there's Lee's affection coming right out there. I love that.
I think my takeaway will be about just being aware of how, I don't know what I said earlier, just being aware of how my feelings can affect other people as well.
Love that. And mine is to continue to look through that lens of being on my deathbed. And I'm going to try and do the stoic thing about, at the end of the day, reflecting on that and wanting to have lived my best life today, and being grateful if I wake up tomorrow and to continue to live my best day every day, and not to think too far in the future and not to think about the past, but live for now. Just like Djokovic said about living in that present moment by having a big vision, but living your best life every day. That for me is going to be the thing. Lens of passing away and being on my deathbed. Would I regret anything? So, yeah, that's going to be mine. But there you go, Lee. I'm done. Do you want to wrap this bad boy up?
Are we taking Lee's cop-out answer as an answer?
Oh, okay. Do you know what? Thank you, Ryan. You're absolutely right. Yeah,
because there's no way. There's no way he'd take that if I gave you that cop-out answer. There's no way you'd take that.
Ryan, well done, mate. Well done for picking him up. Well done, Ryan. Right, go on.
I'm gonna have an inward takeaway, which is I suppose my own observation of myself as to how much more comfortable I am talking about these things than I was even 6 months ago, but definitely a few years ago, and how I suppose being in these conversations and us pushing ourselves into this space and this mindset by doing this each week has really changed how I am and my comfort with that whole thing.
I love that.
There you go.
I love that.
I can pull it out of the bag when I need to.
Yeah, and there he goes, going back to the affection thing at the end there. I love that. Like, I've done this whole lovely spiel from the heart, and he goes, I need to cover this up quickly. Like, it was brilliant. It was like, I was like, oh, let's cover that up quickly. I love that, Lee. It was just so nice. It's so nice. But, I just think these are so important, these conversations. So just keep having them. Let's keep having these conversations, keep sharing the conversations. As Lee says, we need more people to hear these conversations so we can all continue to, add value out here. This is what we want to do. And Lee, over to you.
On that note, I shall count us down. 3, 2, 1. Inspiration Nation.
Inspiration Nation.
Catch you guys later.
Later.
Recording stopped.
Have a good one.